Good morning. I'm Jane Bramham, this morning's worship associate, and I wanted to voice our congregation's gratitude for Steve Lapointe for our piano music, to Simon Jacob for his tech skills, and to Reverend Lóre Stevens as we welcome her to our pulpit. Lóre was born in Tennessee, raised in Michigan. Lóre attended Eastern Michigan University for both her bachelor's and first master's degree, then returned to Nashville, where she became a UU and discerned her desire to become a minister. She attended Harvard Divinity School, served on the board of the Church of the Larger Fellowship, and has worked for the UUA and UU Service Committee. Reverend Lóre is currently the minister at Foothills UU Fellowship in Maryville, Tennessee, where she lives with her brother and 2 cats. Spring morning greetings to those of you in the sanctuary, as well as those sharing our time together online. Every Sunday we say, whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you are on your journey, however you identify, whomever you love, you are welcome in this faith community. You're invited to open your hearts Raise your spirits and your hands as you join in our centering music.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. We are gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. We are gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Spirit draw near. Spirit draw near.
Check, check. All right, there we go. Thank you. My name is Lóre Stevens, and I'd like to invite up our chalice lighters. Come on up. Okay. The words of our chalice lighting are by Leslie Pohl Casbow. Thank you. Flame of fire, spark of the universe that warmed our ancestral heart. Agent of life and death, symbol of truth and freedom, we strive to understand ourselves and our earthly home. I now invite you to rise in body or spirit to sing hymn number 77. The lyrics are in your gray hymnal. They'll also be on the screen, but if you'd like the sheet music, number 77.
I'm going to play a few more.
Okay, great. We're going to So, I'm going to share a Bible story with you all this morning from the Hebrew Bible. You gain wisdom from lots of different sources, and one of the reasons is we like to learn the stories that are important to our neighbors, even if they're not the stories that we favor. So I thank you for being open to what wisdom it may have for you this morning. A couple thousand years ago in Egypt, a young man named Moses lived. He was a Hebrew adoptee in the Egyptian royal court. One day, he went out to see his enslaved Hebrew kinsfolk and witness their labors. He saw an Egyptian being really mean to a Hebrew, and he looked around and didn't see anybody else, and so he chased the Egyptian off and sent him away. But when Pharaoh heard about it, he sought to arrest Moses. He was not supposed to do that. So Moses then ran away to the land of Midian and became a shepherd. One day while Moses was leading his sheep into the wilderness, to the mountain Horeb, he saw a bush. And I'm wondering if our kiddos will help me out with some of these parts. Do you all know if you can pretend to be a bush, what that might look like with your little branches and your little... Can you all help me be a bush? Kids of all ages are also welcome. Great. Okay, he saw a really normal bush. But all of a sudden, the bush burst into flame. Yeah, that's great. And Moses watched, and the bush kept burning, but it didn't burn up. It didn't smolder down and go away. Out of the fire, a voice called, "Moses, Moses." Can our bush call, "Moses, Moses"? What? Moses watched and answered, "Okay, I'm here, bush, thank you." The voice said, "Don't come any closer. Remove the sandals from your feet." You all can keep your sandals on. I'm sure your parents will appreciate it. "Remove your sandals from your feet, for this earth you stand upon is sacred." So Moses did so. He took off his sandals. "I am," said the voice from the fire, "the God of your ancestors." Even though Moses had been looking at the really cool fiery bush, suddenly he looked away because you're not supposed to look directly at a god. The God continued, "I have seen the plight of my people in Egypt. I have heard their outcry because of their enslavement, and I am aware of their suffering. I have come to rescue them and bring them to a good and spacious land, flowing with milk and honey, the region of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. The cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I have seen how mean the Egyptians are to them. So I am going to send you back to Pharaoh, and you shall free my people, the Israelites, from Egypt." But Moses was just a shepherd at this point and was like, "Me? You want me to do to what?" And the God replied very simply, "I will be with you. It's going to be okay." Moses asked, "Okay, well, when I tell the Israelites that the God of their ancestors sent me, what shall I say your name is?" Because in Egypt, all the gods had names, like Osiris and Ra and Anubis. The God said out of the fire, "Eye, Asher, Eye. I am. I am what was, what is, and what will be. So tell the Israelites that Yahweh, the God of their ancestors, sent you." Yahweh said, "This shall be my name forever. This shall be my title for all eternity. I am." And now we will sing our wonderful acting kiddos to their religious exploration adventures. We want to invite any parents, especially if you're new or visiting and sending your kids to religious exploration, to walk out with your children so you can meet the group leaders and find out where to pick your kids up after worship. But let us all sing them out together. The words are on the screen. As we enter our time of meditation and prayer, I invite you to close your eyes or rest them low as you wish. I invite you now to settle deeper into your body and into this moment. I will guide us through a brief guided body scan meditation. Focus your attention on the parts of the body which are closest to the earth. Scan your attention slowly upwards. Focus your attention in the center of the body, where air becomes breath, where what is not you becomes you, where the line between blurs in a flow without ceasing. Scan your attention slowly upwards. Focus your attention at the top of the body, where feeling becomes thought and thought becomes action. Let us share in a continuing moment of silence, preparing ourselves to receive each other's joys and sorrows.
In this time, we come together to acknowledge our joys and sorrows with the ritual of water and stones. To this vessel, seated with water from our water communion, we add salt to brine the water, representing losses and hurts that grieve our hearts. And we scatter flower petals to symbolize our joys, our celebrations, and our quiet contentments. I invite you to come forward to the center aisle and add your stone of joy or sorrow to our bowl. Have shared a joy, know we rejoice with you. If you have shared a sorrow, know you are held in love and care by this community. We add these last stones for the joys and sorrows of our community carried silently in this room or by those not present with us today. Our community is one community, gathered or apart. And now, I light this peace candle. Let the design of great love shine on the waste of our wrath and sorrows and grant peace among nations, peace in our communities, peace in our homes, peace in our hearts. As a child, I played under peach and almond trees, camped beneath Sierra sugar pines and valley oaks, breathed eucalyptus fragrance in Golden Gate Park. But the redwoods of Monte Toyon Methodist Camp, where the Coast Range rises above Santa Cruz and the Pacific Ocean, were my sacred grove. Sequoia sempervirens, ancient trees whose species name means ever living. They're capable of growing from seed, but they can also sprout in fairy rings from the roots around the base of an old stump, and they can also generate from their fascinating misshapen burls. Great mosques and cathedrals evoke such trees. Both dwarf humans by their lofty reach. They have cool, dark interiors. They rest in silence, graced by occasional music of organ pipe, piano, or forest bird. Their sunlight split by leaded windows or scattered as it filters through leaves. These places are rendered more mysterious by clouds of incense or obscuring fog. We 11th grade campers were studying Tillich and Niebauer and performing McLeish's J.B. the summer. I had this experience which combined profound certainty and mystery. One evening, seated beneath those towering trees, I was simply enveloped in wonder, with no sense of being singled out, but rather joined in to an interconnected whole. Giant trees, brilliant yellow banana slugs, dew on tiny ferns, the invisible microbes and the elements and me. Incredibly comforting, and yet in no way personal. I heard no voice, too human a concept. My spiritual vocabulary had only Holy Spirit to call it, the least humanized and gendered of the Trinity. Now I might find other terms. I didn't stop studying theology or looking to reason and science for guidance, but I have tried to remain aware there will always be mystery, confident in these words from a hymn we will sing. Far beyond our calculation lies a depth we cannot sound, where the purpose for creation and the pulse of life are found.
At the beginning and heart of every religion, there is an epiphany. A person, usually while alone in nature, has a flash of insight that fundamentally changes them and eventually the world around them. Moses and the burning bush, Jesus in the desert, Buddha under the tree, pagans, period. Unitarian Universalists affirm 6 sources of wisdom, and this is our very first. The direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. End quote. These moments of direct experience are in fact humanity's primary sources of wisdom, upon which all other sacred texts and wisdom traditions are built. The beauty is that every single person can and probably does experience these moments from time to time. A German writer named Malvida von Meisenbug wrote, "I was alone upon the seashore as all these thoughts flowed over me, liberation and reconciling. I was impelled to kneel down, this time before the illimitable ocean, symbol of the infinite. I felt that I prayed as I had never prayed before, and knew now what prayer really is. A return from the solitude of individuation into the consciousness of unity with all that is. To kneel down as one that passes away, and to rise up as one imperishable. Earth, heaven, and sea resounded as in one vast world-encircling harmony." End quote. We can all encounter moments of feeling connected to something much bigger than ourselves. Sitting under the great sequoia trees, holding a newborn, the wonder of new life and the echo of ancestors. Looking at the stars, feeling small but so alive. Meditating, sitting in the moment and watching your breath transform you from second to second. Eating a vegetable you worked so hard to grow yourself, which tastes better than any vegetable ever before. Watching the birds, swimming in the ocean, dancing at a concert with hundreds of strangers, cuddling a beloved pet, climbing a mountain, having great sex, hearing the perfect chord in a symphony, looking at the generations gathered together at a family reunion. All these and more are moments in which we directly experience transcending mystery and wonder, which renews our spirits and opens us to the forces that create and uphold life. While moments of wonder are easier to recognize in idyllic natural settings, this isn't a requirement. My first epiphany, which started me on this spiritual journey to become a UU minister, happened while I was looking at my smartphone at a gas station in Texas. Sorry if anyone's from Texas. We're just kidding. But that's just it. I had a completely sober, unexpected moment of connectedness with all that is. Nature is not just forest and seaside, but the entire material universe. Our new UUA president, Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt, wrote a paper some years ago called "Between Dishwater and the River." In it, she writes of an eco-womanist ethic that builds on the historic importance of the wilderness, while still maintaining that any place where a Black woman finds herself is a site of potential glory that is worthy of protection. End quote. Yeah, pretty great president, if I do say so myself. This perspective does not offer judgments on the morality of a gas station, nor hold it up as any more or less holy than anywhere else. Rather, it might push us, me at least, to accept that even the painful, broken, toxic parts of existence, and of myself, are still part of the whole. It reminds me that human structures in cities are not somehow separate from nature, but they can be more or less upholding of the forces that create life. Countless spectacular moments are available to us. within reach of each of us, but we have to be ready to receive them. When these moments occur, we have to really pay attention. We have to pause, listen, receive, and feel. The direct experience of transcending mystery and wonder is accessible in any given moment, but only in the present moment, not in the past or the future that live in our minds. So we have to be present when these moments cross our paths. In our wisdom story, Moses was astonished by a bush and a flame. He turned away from his day job, walked barefoot on the earth, and let a small, mysterious phenomenon change his life, change the world. Indeed, our first source tells us that the direct experience of transcending mystery and wonder is affirmed in all cultures. Judaism and Islam follow the cycles of the moon. Pagans, Christians, indigenous Americans, both North and South, have always loved the solstices and equinoxes. These natural phenomena transcend cultures because they aren't matters of opinion. As I'm sure we're all aware, it's pretty hard to agree on anything these days. We still can't even get on the same page about whether the earth is round. But the moments of peace when we touch cool, clean water, the warmth of the sun on our skin, the awe of the vast universe above us at night, these, at least, we share by default. Of course, we can draw different meanings from these events. For example, some might see an eclipse as an exciting science field trip. You put on your goofy little glasses and you watch it happen. Very exciting. But some, many throughout history, might see it as a terrible omen. The director of religious education at my home congregation in Nashville taught me that each of our 6 sources has a clause that begins with the word which. So for UUs, we don't just lift up any old moment of wonder. Someone could interpret a violent nightmare as a message from their God and feel motivated to harm others. We'll take a pass on those ones. Instead, we specifically treasure those direct experiences which move us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces that create and uphold life. We specifically choose renewal, spirit, openness, and life. In our wisdom story earlier, I treasure the parts where Moses has a revelation to free his people from the oppression and violence of their slave holders. But I am troubled, as I'm sure many of you were, by the direction from his God to go to a land where people were already living. I'm in agreement with the UUA's statements, both against anti-Semitism and against the war in Gaza. All people should be free from oppression and violence, and I hope that that's something on which we all can agree. Daily life, the suffering and challenges often cause us to forget our transcendent interconnectedness with each other and all life on earth. We can cause ourselves and each other great harm through this forgetfulness. Spiritual practices help tune us back into that frequency of life and love. Starhawk, the beloved American pagan leader, shares a breath meditation to remind us of our connections across time and species. She writes, "The air is a gift of the early ancestors. What you breathe in this moment, originated billions of years ago. The air passed through the lungs of dinosaurs and mammoths and the earliest human beings. Just breathe in. Taking in the creative power of the ancestors, of life, asking that power to infuse you." End quote. The Native American author Robin Wall Kimmerer shares how even small, everyday acts can become sacred when we recognize the connection that they foster. She writes, "My mother had her own, more pragmatic ritual of respect, the translation of reverence and intention into action. Before we paddled away from any camping place, she made us kids scour the place to make sure it was the way we found it. We also had to leave wood for the next person's fire, with tinder and kindling, carefully sheltered from the rain by a piece of birch bark. I liked to imagine their pleasure, those other campers, arriving after dark to find a ready pile of fuel to warm their evening meal. My mother's ceremony connected us to them, too." End quote. Practices like these and many more invite wonder and oneness and help us to remember the true nature of reality. They can stir us to support the forces of life, beauty, and creation, as well as to resist the forces of cruelty and destruction. Henry David Thoreau, a Unitarian, made a connection with transcendentalism and social activism in his book On the Duty of Civil Resistance. There's our boy. Yeah. The book was eventually read by Mohandas Gandhi during his first period of incarceration and helped inspire the nonviolent strategy of the Indian movement to break free of the British Empire. Gandhi eventually met the Black civil rights leaders Howard Thurman and James Lawson, among others, who brought the idea of spiritually rooted nonviolent resistance back to America and taught a generation of leaders like Bayard Rustin and Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. These spiritual and political matters are intimately linked. If we directly experience the transcendent connectedness of life, of the whole universe, how can we wish pain on another living being? If we know our lives to be interdependent, how can we allow others to be harmed for our sake? And as many religious and political leaders have shown us, there are even some transcendent causes worth putting our life on the line for. There are some moments where we might put our body in front of another, and with no weapon in our hands and no harm in our hearts, simply say, "You'll have to go through me." Those moments of sacrifice are some of the holiest stories across cultures. It is a level of spiritual depth in which we might risk our life to resist harm without wishing to cause more of it ourselves. When the empire thought Jesus was leading a rebellion, but he allowed himself to be captured and killed instead. When Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. received threat after threat after threat, but still showed up in Memphis to support the sanitation workers' strike. When the suffragettes went on a hunger strike in prison because they valued the votes of women more than their individual lives. When a pacifist Quaker named Desmond Doss refused to pick up a gun, but joined the army instead to become a medic. When a parent risks their life to give birth to a child. These are the moments of transcending mystery and wonder, which renew the spirit and open us to the forces which create and uphold life. The people who wrote the previous version of the UU 7 Principles and 6 Sources left us a gift. We treasure that gift, as we Unitarian Universalists treasure rather than fear change. In the new draft of our values in Article 2, this source of direct experience has been preserved. In the very first lines of the new inspirations section, it reads, "Direct experiences of transcending mystery and wonder are primary sources of Unitarian Universalist inspiration. These experiences open our hearts, renew our spirits, and transform our lives." End quote. UUs appreciate many sources of wisdom, from ancient texts to the guidance of sages and scientists. Yet it is significant that our primary source is one that is accessible and indeed ever present in each of our lives. There's no barrier to the experiences of wonder in our world. No priest is needed for you to personally experience wonder, although we're happy to help. No month-long meditation retreat, no ayahuasca or shrooms. These can also be helpful, but they aren't necessary. All that's necessary is that we be present, that we be open, that we recognize beauty and wonder when we sense them, and that we allow ourselves to be moved to action on the side of life and love. May it be so. I invite you to rise in body, in spirit, to sing number 158 in your gray hymnal. We're going to skip verse 3. So if you're using the hymnal, we're going to skip verse 3. The lyrics on our slides are correct.
And I'll play it once.
Yes.
And now it's my joy to invite those of you who are visiting us today to rise if you will, and there will be microphones coming around. If you would like to introduce yourself and let us know from where you are coming to visit.
Good morning. Hi, I'm Randy Goodstadt. I've been here a few times before. I'm friend and neighbor of Linda Kuiker, and I am delighted to be here with you. What a wonderful place. Welcome. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Pete. This is my son Lucas. My daughter Josie's downstairs being a 4-year-old. And this is pretty cool. We're checking it out. Julie's been awesome. We've felt very welcomed here, very warm. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Rob Spurko. I'm from East Tennessee. My wife Jennifer and I were visiting Asheville this weekend, and being UU nerds, we thought we'd come to church. But I'm on the Article 2 Study Commission, so, totally unplanned, but thank you. But yes, this is lovely. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rhonda, and I'm a member, and this is one of my very oldest friends ever, almost 40 years, visiting me from Phoenix, Arizona, and this is Jenny Vincenzini.
Thank you. It's a blessing to be here, and when I walked in the building, I could just feel the love. It's a great community. Thank you for having me.
We invite all of you to join us in the space available in Sandburg Hall today. There is a blood drive, or in our lovely foyer, or since it's so nice, out in the sunshine, so we can greet each other. Trevor is waving to you. If you're a newcomer, or if you're not but still have questions, please see Trevor afterwards. Our weekly e-news comes to your inbox every Thursday evening, your source to know what's going on here. If you don't yet receive the e-news, ask how to sign up at the newcomers table or email information@uuasheville.org. And now we have a message from Katie Johnson about the importance of UUCA to her.
Hi, I'm Katie Johnson, and I use she, her pronouns. As I think about going to college next year, I'm excited, but I am sad to know I'll be leaving many parts of my current life, including this church. When reflecting on the 11 years I've attended this church, many memories come to mind, but the most impactful things are the connections I've made with people and the community I've become a part of. As part of this church, I know that each Sunday, at least 2 people, but probably more, will probably come up to me to talk about my track season, how school is, or the latest updates on my college search. Things like that can seem very small and simple, but I appreciate that people care about the things going on in my life and want to hear what I have to say. UUCA has also given me many other opportunities that have pushed me out of my comfort zone and helped me learn about myself. Through COA, I used my credo to express my love for running and work on my public speaking skills. And at our COA retreats, I had the opportunity to form deeper connections with my peers, eat lots of ice cream, and just have a lot of fun. My credo also showed me that I was a massive procrastinator, but I already knew that. Through YRUU, I've continued to have opportunities for public speaking and even testing out my acting abilities as a sneetch in our most recent YRUU service. In addition to these many fun memories I have at church, one of my favorites actually took place in Pennsylvania. For those of you who don't know, 2 years ago, my COA class took a trip to the UU Central East Region Summer Institute, or CERSI for short, which was basically like a giant summer camp for all ages. Many of you may have heard my peers and I speak about CERSI in our YRUU service last year, but I wanted to tell you all a few new things about that experience. When I came back from CERSI, I wrote pages and pages in my journal about how awesome it was, memories with the UUCA COA group, and how many amazing new people I met. Instead of writing something new about CERSI, I wanted to read a few things to you all that I wrote in that journal. Here are some quotes from my journal about a few of the people I met. He was so nice to Stella and I, even though we were new, and he would say, "Hi, Stella and Katie," every time he saw us. She texted me after we left, and she said she'd realized she didn't get to say goodbye to me and hoped I had a safe trip home. He called me fast, which made me happy. He went out of his way to include the Asheville people, which I really appreciated. I also reflected on the experience as a whole, saying, "I'm so sad that I had to leave CERSI. These people were so amazing, and it was great to be part of such a great community, and it was magical." I think these quotes really show how impactful this experience was for me, and I want to say thank you. All of this was made possible by this church. You all bought soup at Soup Sundays, participated in trivia nights, and supported us along this journey. This trip, these memories, and these connections truly would not have been possible without all of you, and I am extremely grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Our church is a lighthouse, lifting high our UU values of connection, inspiration, compassion, and justice, and we are all the lighthouse keepers. The annual giving drive reports that we are now at approximately 300,000 on our way to a goal of 800,000. We can reach that goal if we have everybody in. If you've turned your commitment in, thank you. If it's still on your to-do list, please submit by April 1st, sooner if you can. Details about pledging are on our website under the Give menu and the weekly news. Celebration Sunday is in 2 weeks on April 7th, when you can join us as we let our light shine with music and joy at the culmination of the giving drive. And thanks to Reverend Lóre. Our community plate recipient this month is Bountiful Cities, a food justice, climate resilience, urban agricultural nonprofit. Since 2000, Bountiful Cities' approach has been about planting seeds, seeds of knowledge, seeds of collaboration and skills training, in addition to vegetable seeds, with the goal of long-term food security in the face of climate change. Checks with Community Plate in the memo line will go to Bountiful Cities, and you can also donate online. The work and ministries of this congregation are entirely supported by the generosity of our members and friends. We celebrate your generosity each Sunday with music and with thanks. You make us possible. Thank you. The offering will now be gratefully collected.
For the gifts of your presence, time, wisdom, and resources, the congregation, the UU congregation of Asheville, is very grateful. I now invite you to rise in body, in spirit, and join me in singing in our teal hymnal, number 1068, Rising Green. Again, we're going to skip verse 3. Thank you all so much for having me this morning. I really appreciated the welcome as well. The words of our benediction are by Nancy Wood. Hold on to what is good, even if it is a handful of earth. Hold on to what you believe, even if it is a tree which stands by itself. Hold on to what you must do, even if it is far from here. Hold on to my hand, even when I have gone away from you. As a final act of worship, I invite you all to join us in singing Long Time Son.